Just sent it through. Oh, I did it! Oh, good. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Oh, I'm really, really well. And it's so good to see you. I don't often get to talk to boys on here, so it's really good. It's really, really great to speak to you. Because I don't, we were saying the other day that actually we don't hear enough from guys going through this. And I don't know if it's a gender thing, like women tend to, a bit more of an open book maybe. And so it's really, really great to talk to you because prostate cancer affects so many people. I think it's 1 in 8, isn't it?
That's correct, yeah, 1 in 8 men. And actually it's higher than that if you're black or if you have a male relation with it. So yeah, big cancer.
That's interesting. And so it's the same with breast cancer actually. That's 1 in 8 as well. And don't you find that when you talk to new people about it, they tend to know somebody that's either been affected by it or have been affected by it themselves?
Absolutely. One of the misnomers about prostate cancer is it's an old man's disease.
Yeah.
And I got it at 49. One of my friends died at 49 with it. And I don't think that's very old myself. I know you don't get it when you're 5, but
yeah,
it's definitely not an old man's disease.
Yeah. So you were 49. So how long ago was it then?
So just over 7 years ago, I got it. So I gave me a 2-year prognosis. So somehow 7 years on, I'm still here. But
wow,
I'm one of the lucky ones.
That is phenomenal. And I've seen on your website that you've got a best before, like an end date, and I love that you've got a rolling thing because on medical terms they think you're on borrowed time now, don't they?
Absolutely.
But that must be so inspiring to see that, to think, yeah, I'm kind of like defying the odds here.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we all can defy odds sometimes because the odds are only, you choose if you want to give in or you want to fight. And fighting isn't just about saying, I'm going to try and do well out of this. Fighting is actually also taking some action about things. So being more healthy and that sort of stuff, because that helps everyone in life, not just with prostate cancer.
I mean, it's phenomenal what you've done. But before we get to all the marathons and all the other crazy challenges that you've been doing, which I don't know how you got the energy for, just take us back to 7 years ago. Did you have was prostate cancer in your family? Like, was it on your radar at all? And what symptoms were you sort of displaying?
So, my dad had prostate cancer. It was curable. And he's talked to me about it, but at no stage did he ever say, because he had it, I had a higher risk. And we actually shared the same GP. And the GP never said to me or my dad that we should talk about it. So
was he young as well when he had it?
No, he had it when he was probably mid-60s.
Right.
And again, I thought, because naively didn't know much about it, you only got it when you're old. And I also thought you never actually died of it, which was always because all the people I did get to know were generally old and they live with it. Because of course, if you live with it, you're going to talk about it more. But if you die with it, you're not here to talk about it.
No, exactly.
And that's the sad thing, is the younger you are when you get it, from what I can see, the more likely it's going to be terminal opposed to something they can hopefully cure.
Yeah. So 7 years ago, you needed to get yourself checked out, and they checked your levels, and sure enough,
absolutely,
they gave you a diagnosis.
I was getting up in the night for a wee, which is something that actually happens to men as they get older anyway. But I do what most men don't do. You said earlier that ladies sort of have these discussions. Men don't talk about stuff down there. It's kind of some stupid pride. I don't know. It's just wrong. So I wouldn't normally go to the doctors for anything. That's kind of what blokes do. But I did go to the doctors. I went to doctors only a few weeks after I had the symptoms. But unfortunately for me, it's too late. Whereas normally, if you had that symptom, you went to the doctor, it's quite likely they will catch it early and you'll be cured.
Yeah. So how did they? So did they biopsy you, and then they were able to determine that it had spread?
Yes. So I had after they initially have a blood test, and what I call a doctor's special handshake.
Yeah.
And once they've done that, the levels are raised of this thing called
Yes.
PSA.
Yes.
They then
Yes.
send you for scans and a biopsy, and the biopsy is one of the nastiest things I've ever had.
I've heard.
The prostate's kind of right inside you, so the only way to get to it is right inside you. And I remember actually, it's one of those things, and you know, the NHS is wonderful, and I've never ever would knock the NHS. However, a 49-year-old guy going into a room with two mid-20s nurses holding a truncheon in their hand, kind of, you lose all of your sense of dignity at that point in time. You know, it's not great, but I'm sure ladies go through stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
You probably have male gynecologists and stuff.
Oh, no.
You know, it was a bit of a shock. I didn't know what to expect, and I think that's one of the problems. If they'd told me what might happen, then I might have gone in prepared. But instead, it was kind of wow, a bit of a shock. And then I kind of went back about 4 weeks later for the results, and thinking they were going to say I've got prostate cancer, but it's curable, and you'll start radiotherapy and whatever. And instead, the doctor looked at my wife and I and said, "Really sorry, it's growing fast. It's spread around your body, and you might only live 2 years. If you're lucky, 3 to 4." So you can imagine lots and lots of tears.
Wow.
Kind of, what's the point is a sentence that's stuck in my head for quite a while.
God, you just totally, that's just so out of the blue. And where did it spread to at this point?
So it spread to my chest and in my lymph nodes around my groin. And the thing with prostate cancer is a bit like the genie. Once it's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. So if you get it when it's still in the prostate, then you should be cured. And that's why it's so important, not just for men to be aware, but actually I think the ladies are really underrated in men's health, because it's the lady that will notice the man get up in the night and go for a wee. The lady will notice the change in habits. And they're the ones who might, because men are rubbish, might have to say, "I've booked you an appointment with the doctors," because actually it's so
true that quite often, and I read a survey that had been done, and it was that a really high percentage of men would tell their partners or wives before they would go and tell a GP. So it's really great that we spread awareness, or it's important that we spread awareness amongst everybody, not just men, because if it's on women's radars as well, then they will be encouraging people like you to go and get checked out.
And prostate cancer is my thing, but if anyone, male or female, has any change in their body they don't understand, they should just go to the doctor. It's as simple as that, because normally go there, they sort it quickly, because most things can be sorted quickly, and you go, don't worry about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead, you put it for ages, and then it might get worse.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. When because I didn't have, mine was breast cancer, and I didn't have any family history of it at all, and I was 39, so I didn't tick any boxes really for it. And actually, because the screening age for breast cancer is over 47 or over 50 in some parts of the country, there was nobody that was going to find my cancer apart from me. So it is important that you take ownership. I should just point out here that Prostate Cancer UK, they have a really good tool, don't they, on their website, which is a risk. It's like a riskometer.
It's a risk checker.
I'm going to make risk checker. That's it. So if anybody on here is interested in doing that, just go onto their website, Prostate Cancer UK. I can do a link later. But there's a few like Q&As on there, and then you can, it gives you like a little prediction, or a risk checker, which is quite, forewarned is forearmed, isn't it, as they say.
Absolutely. And the thing about the risk checker is, I think a wife could do it on behalf of their husband as well, because a lot of the questions, they're not.
That's interesting.
They might know if the person's dad or brother had prostate cancer. They might know if they're black. And all those things increase their risk, and how old they are and all that sort of stuff. So if they wanted to, they could probably do it themselves and maybe save their partner's life. And for the sake of 30 seconds, if the man's not going to do it, then do it for them. Yeah,
it's a really good and important thing to do. So day to day, are you in pain with it, or not really?
No,
So
not
apart
at all.
from, no.
I'm very sorry.
So after you had your you've been told that news, were you then put onto some sort of chemo or radio or something to try and sort of control it at least?
Yeah, so because if you imagine a lawn of grass with some weeds growing on it in the corner, that's where I was. I had some weeds growing, and what they do is weed kill it. So they give you chemo, and it's, you know, an infusion, just like a lot of cancers. I think I had 6 of them every 3 weeks, and you know, it's all the stuff that chemo does, makes you feel sick, and hair falls out. I don't have much hair anyway, but hair falls out, and your tongue goes black, and all this sort of stuff. Horrible stuff. And then after that, I then had a month off, and then I had a whole load of radiotherapy, because although it had spread and they couldn't radiotherapy me everywhere, they could do the prostate itself and kind of try and, as my doctor said, try and kill the mothership. So that was a treatment then, and then after that, I have a 3-monthly stomach injection, which is like a pellet, quite a big pellet I put in my stomach, and then I have tablets every day and steroids, because prostate cancer is fed by testosterone. And one of the reasons why men don't want to go and see a doctor is because you lose your testosterone. And for a lot of men, that means you lose your manhood. And in some respects, you do. You know, I haven't had any urges or ability, if you like, for over 7 years now. It just takes it away.
That is so interesting. And I know some of the names that are on here listing now, and who where we've spoken before about where we've been through breast cancer, and if you're hormone receptive, you're stripped of your estrogen, which is, you know, our, I guess, female version of, you know, what's happened to you. And I can absolutely sympathize, and I know exactly where, you know, it's a complete life changer, and especially when you're still young, you know.
That's true. You know, it's funny though, one of the, you know, there are positives out of this. I wish I didn't have cancer, but there are some positives. And one of them is actually a reality that I don't think most men would be honest about. And that is, you know, I know that there were times when my wife and I, should we say, had relations, and she probably took one for the team, should we say. And, and I would say things like, you know, I'd be nice because I had that, you know, my hormones are making me think that way. So I might be nice all day one day or something, to try and encourage that situation to happen. And
just unload the dishwasher.
Exactly, unload the dishwasher. let her watch the Bake Off, that kind of stuff, you know. And am I being stereotypical? I'm sorry.
I love it.
And one of the things about prostate cancer is now, because I do not have any urges whatsoever or ability, if I now unload the dishwasher or let her watch the repair shop, it's because I love her, not because I have an ulterior motive. And that's actually quite liberating for both of us.
Yeah.
And it's funny, in 7.5 years now, she hasn't had a headache at night time.
You need to write a book. Have you written a book?
I have, yeah. I have written a book.
Have you actually?
I have. Here we go.
Oh, let's have a look.
My book.
Ah, Dead Man Walking. Oh, Dead Man Running. Yes, I saw that on your on your Instagram. I'll link to that as well, obviously. And that's about your story, presumably.
And that's just the last 7.5 years. So it's not what I was like when I was at school, which is not great either. But
probably can't publish that.
And it's about the opportunity it gives you, and the worry, and there's lots of stuff about coming to terms with challenges. Not just, well, actually, prostate cancer is one of many challenges. You know, you might lose your job, you might split up with your partner, your dog might die. All those things happen, and they're all, when they happen, they're pretty grim. And it's just about trying to get through them and realizing that you will never have today again. So you can be sad all day if you want to be, but when you look back in time to come, you will never say, I'm really glad I cried a week about the loss of whatever.
True.
So, you know, and I'm lucky because I know life is maybe shorter. Most people go around thinking they're going to live till they're 100 years old, but we all could get hit by the number 6 bus tomorrow. So I push life as much as I can every day. I never have a bad day. I refuse to have a bad day, and therefore.
I love that.
But why would you? My wife, my wife's great. My wife says to me every morning, "If you feel okay when you wake up, it's going to be a good day. You haven't got to feel brilliant. Just feel okay, and it's going to be a good day."
But I think it's easy to lose sight of that. So it's really good to remind ourselves of that. And actually, listening to you say that, that's just. Yeah, it really brings it home. And I suppose with what you've been through and the diagnosis that you live with every day, it kind of forces you to take those wins, right? Doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. In fact, every day is a win. Every day is a win.
Yeah, of
You
course
should
it
never
is.
lose. Someone said to me that I go to the Royal Marsden for my cancer treatment, and someone
Mm,
said to me, "Oh, it must be a really hard day when you go there." And I say, "No, it's actually a great day because I run a lot, and I
yeah,
see the Marsden as an important part of my training, just like my physio, just like my nutrition. If
mm,
they don't get my drugs right, then I can't run. So I don't see it
yeah,
as a
that's so
negative.
true.
I see it as a
Yeah.
positive. We all
So
can
tell
do
me,
that.
tell me about, were you always into running and exercise and these like crackers challenges, or is this something that the cancer's kind of brought out in you?
I ran a bit when I was younger and played rugby. Then I got injured. Then I ran a little bit. So I ran a marathon a year just to stay fit. I worked
Yeah,
quite long hours, so
yeah,
I could do one marathon a year. And then I got ill, and it was kind of now or never for everything. So I ran two
yeah,
marathons on chemotherapy. So I ran marathons on week 13 and 15 of chemotherapy against my doctor's advice.
yeah.
And
No, I'm
but
not
it,
surprised.
but his
That was
advice
against
was,
your doctor.
but it, yeah, but his advice wasn't based on fact of other people
Mm,
have done it and fallen over and died. His advice was based on he didn't know anyone else that had done it.
mm,
Well, then why not have a go? And
yeah,
what's the worst that's going to happen? you know,
yeah.
it's not
No,
like I'm
it's so
waiting
true.
50 years.
Do you actually manage to run it, or are you sort of running and walking and think, or you do actually manage to
Yeah, yeah,
keep?
oh yeah. I mean, I did the two marathons on chemo. I did in 4:28 and 4:36. So
Oh my
you know,
gosh!
and,
Oh
and
wow!
and so yeah, I definitely can run them. And
Wow!
but then I realised as you get older, running faster is not always possible. And when you run marathons or shorter,
Mm,
the first question anyone ever says to you is, "How long did it take you?" That's what I just told you. So I
yeah.
started running ultra marathons, and that's
Right.
anything over a marathon. So I've raced across the Sahara 4 times, 250 kilometres, Iceland, Cambodia, Albania, Jordan, twice across the
Wow!
Arctic, non-stop pulling a sledge.
Wow!
Because you can do those things, and then you walk a bit. That's the point. You can't
Yeah,
run 120
yeah.
miles non-stop pulling a
That
sledge.
is incredible. And how are you fundraising when you do that?
Always, yeah. So everything I do, it gives you a sense of purpose. I always
Yeah.
get frustrated with people who run and don't raise money because even if they only got 10 quid, that's 10 quid the charity
10
never had
quid.
before. And people say
Yeah.
to me sometimes, "Oh, problem is, Kevin, I do parkrun every Saturday. How can I get sponsorship for that?" So
Mm,
I'd say, well, what you do is I'm going to do parkrun for a year,
yeah.
and then you get sponsored for the whole year. So you're not just saying
Mm,
one race. So that's what I
mm,
do. I have
mm,
things for the whole year, and all the races
mm,
I do are included.
mm.
And the beauty of being sponsored for things is, if it's wet and horrible outside, and I'd much rather stay in bed and have another cup of coffee, if someone's given me a tenner, I better go out and train.
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And do you oh, my brain's gone blank. What was I just about to ask you about that? About the training?
I don't know.
It was a really intelligent question. My brain does this now sometimes. I blame it on chemo brain. I swear it zapped every single. Oh, that's what I was going to ask. Are you working now or sorry?
So I'm very lucky. So I work for NatWest. I have done for 40 years. And when I got ill, I took some sick leave to have chemo and things. I hadn't taken any sick leave all my life, pretty much. I'd been
Mm,
healthy, and then I got back to work, and they've realised that the strength I have, I flatter myself, is that I can talk and I can do presentations about living for the day. So what they let me do is do presentations internally to the bank and externally to other businesses
oh
for free,
wow.
just about making the most of life, doing things for other people. I have 3 missions in life, for example, and I say everyone should have these 3 missions. Number one, the most important, enjoy every day, but never at the expense of someone else.
Yeah.
Number two, make the best memories for you, your friends and family. And number three, do something good every single day. And if you can
Mm,
do those 3 things, you're going to have a great life. You're going to knock it out of the park every day. And every night you go to bed, you'll have no regrets. And you'll look about what you've done. Say, what a great day. I enjoyed myself. I made some great memories and I helped someone else. Fantastic. And that's what, I know it sounds big, that's what I try and do every single day. be it talking, be it running and raising money, be it helping someone, being a smile. You know, in COVID, I go running and I bump into people walking their dog who might live on their own. And if I didn't look at them and smile and say good morning, they might not talk to anyone all day. So doing good hasn't got to be raising thousands of pounds. Doing good just could be smiling, using someone's name, saying thank you, because that can change someone's day.
Do you know what? We should somehow put you in a bottle, and I reckon if we could flog that kind of like, honestly, it's just an absolute breath of fresh air. And so many messages have been coming up saying, you know, how inspiring that is. And I mean, what you're saying is really simple, but many of us don't actually follow that through. And I think, you know, I'm guilty of it, you know, just sweating the small stuff. And it's so important to have that sort of reality check, I guess. And how's your wife doing? Is she on this sort of thing with you? Is she running through the Sahara Desert as well,
No,
or is she having the extra cup of coffee in bed?
She's having an extra cup of coffee and a bit
Good
of carrot.
for her.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, my wife's amazing. You know, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the doctors, you know, at the drug companies, without my employer. But you know, she never ever moans about me going for a run. She never moaned. I've always paid for everything myself, all the races. So I never take anything from charity for that. So she never moans about the money I spend. I'm doing my next challenge I had a hernia operation a few weeks ago, so I can't run far at the moment. So my next challenge is going to be walking, because I want to do something. So I'm walking from London to Tipperary in Ireland. It's 968 kilometres. And I've chosen that 968 kilometres. I've chosen that distance because 968 men die every month of prostate cancer in the UK. So every kilometre I walk will be for a man that has died that month.
That's every month, 968. What's that every day?
Oh, I don't know. It's 11,000 men a year, roughly.
Wow. Gosh.
It's huge. So
that surprises me, actually, because it's like you were saying earlier, I thought it was just always, you know, more. No. Yeah. That's a shocking statistic, isn't it? So you're walking it's a kilometre, 968 men. Yeah. So so that's a kilometre for each man that dies every year. Yeah. That's amazing. And when are you doing that?
So I'm starting on the 19th of April, and it will take me the best part of the month. I'm walking with a friend, and we're going to talk along the way. We're going to stop and talk to schools and businesses, and you know, tell my stories. And just every day we're trying to book one of those in, just to try and make other people have believe in themselves, because it would have been so easy to give up. Most of the men I got to know who got prostate cancer when I did, they all kind of, what's the point? So I'll go back a stage. If you're healthy and I said to you, more meat or more fruit and vegetables, most people would say, yeah, more fruit and vegetables. If I said more or less alcohol, they say less alcohol. No, I didn't say no alcohol. If I said more exercise or less, they'd probably say more. If I said smoke or don't smoke, they say don't smoke. If I said processed food or fresh food, they say fresh food. Okay, so if that's what you do, if you're healthy, if you've got an illness, it's those things on steroids. Those things are what get you through the cancer when it's starting to go.
Yeah, that just makes total sense. It's a no-brainer, isn't it?
But when people get a bad prognosis, they think, well, if I'm dead in 2 years, I might as well have pie and chips every night, do 2 bottles of Jack Daniels. I'm not going to run anymore because it hurts. I'm going to sit down and watch telly all day. And surprise, surprise, I think they bring it on themselves even faster. And that's the shame. And that applies to every illness, you know, every illness.
It's hard, isn't it? Because I suppose everybody deals with their diagnosis differently. But I just think it's incredible that you've managed to get your bum out of bed every single day and just do these nuts things. How do people sponsor you or support you? Like what would help?
Okay. So what would help me most of all? Do you know what would help most of all is I would love people to just, after hearing this, to go and change their life for the better in some way. That would be, because that's, you know, my sense of worth personally is not based around money or how many more days I live. It's actually about how many people I might manage to help, because that's kind of the best thing that could ever happen. I would love to hear from people. I do hear from people who've heard me speak. They've gone to the doctors, they had a test, they had prostate cancer, and now they're going to be cured. Or people say to me, I had a problem in life. I know it's the ladies' sort of channel really, but a lady come to me once and she said I'd had 7 miscarriages trying for a baby, and she heard me speak and she said, I'm not going to stop trying to have a baby, but I realised all those years I wasted just being sad and focusing on that when I should have been out doing other stuff. And it's not that you shouldn't try and have a baby, and it's not that you should always keep on trying if you're struggling, but not at the expense of actually never enjoying yourself, because those things don't help the conception process anyway. So just try and be happy every day and try and do good things. You know,
if you were to have your time again with all the knowledge and the way you talk now, do you think you would have gone into the career that you had, or do you think that you would have, like, if you knew what was coming, would you have done a different job from the, because I could see you on a stage doing like motivational speaking and doing all that sort of stuff. I can't see you behind a desk.
Do you know, I love working for the bank. When I had my clients, I used to love it because I used to go out and try and help them. You know, my job was to make them and their businesses better, which would help their employees and help them, and then hopefully help the government make more tax, and we all, you know, better NHS from that. So it was like win-win-win everywhere, and I like that. So yeah, I like working for the bank. They were really good to me. They're better for me now. The only thing I would have done if I had a choice, I think, again, is I wish I'd worked outside more, because I love being outside. I've realised, you know, I would never want to, I don't care if it's raining or snowing or how cold it is, I'd rather be outside than inside. And so I spent too many years at my desk when I should have been outside having, you know, I say having fun, just enjoying life. You know, when we're old and grey, you know, no one's ever going to look back, or old and bald in my case, you're not going to look back and say, I wish I stayed in more. I wish I actually hoovered more. I wish I'd never missed an episode of Love Island. No one's ever going to say that, but they might say, I wish I'd gone out. I wish I'd kept the friends I already had. How many of us have got friends who we haven't texted or phoned for years? We put all that effort into
so true. It's so true.
Just pick up the phone.
So true.
Pick up the phone and say to them, how are you? Send them a text, say, how are you going?
I think,
We're always scared, I think, is, you know, so many people, and from that text, you're worried they might come and say, let's meet up, and you think, well, I can't meet everyone at once. Hi, how are you? It's all you've got to do. Say, hi, how are you?
So true.
Just thinking about you. And how good does it make you feel when you get a random message from someone you used to know that said, thinking about you? What a great laugh we had whenever we did where it was 20 years ago. That's just great. And again, it improves your day. It doesn't make you sad, happy.
It does massively. Now, I thought I heard in the background there, small child. Have you got kids?
I have got kids, but that was my cat.
Oh, it's a cat.
Yeah, come here. Boo. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh, it is your cat. Oh my God.
This is Boo, Princess Boo. Say hello. Say hello.
Oh,
no, you're not
how
say hello.
sweet. I thought I could hear a small child. Oh, it was your cat.
Yeah. We've got 2 cats. This is a girl. She's only got 3 legs. She got hit by a car, but fortunately they took one off and she's fine. That was years ago.
Oh my goodness. Well, anyway. Listen, I can't thank you enough for sharing your story with us and sort of inspiring us and motivating us. I feel like I got more out of this than anybody. But also for sharing your story about, you know, prostate cancer and the fact that it is, you know, you can live with it. I think that's really inspiring, and the fact that you've smashed it for the last 7 years and continue to do so. And I hope that lots of people watching this will, you know, follow you and, you know, support you on what you're doing. And it's Prostate Cancer UK, isn't it, that you raise money for?
Yeah, I mean, I've probably raised, with my friends, we've raised over £750,000 now for them in 7 years, and I think I put that down how many men's lives we might have saved. And one of the things that frustrates me is, you know, people say, well, prostate cancer is a man's disease, and I always say, ask my wife that. You know, right now I get people like you telling me I'm great, which is lovely, thank you. But who's telling my wife she's great apart from me? And then when I get really ill and start going downhill, who's supporting her? Who says to her, oh, don't come to work today if you feel a bit rough about it? And then when I die, who's got to deal with that? And who's got to deal with life afterwards? So actually, whilst I'm having lovely drugs on the way out, she's having no support at all. And so to me, I think the person caring for the person with the illness probably has it harder than the person who actually has the illness. I'm sure it's not the same for everyone, but for me, that's how it feels. And you know, if people like to follow, you know, the easiest way to, if you want to know more about my story, is just Google Kevin Webber prostate
Yeah.
cancer. I'm probably about the
And
first
then it
5
all
pages.
comes up. But also on your profile page, there's a link to your web page, isn't there?
Yeah.
With all the info on there. Well, thank you so much. Good luck with your. So it's April 19th you start.
Do indeed, yeah. We're going up, basically up the Grand Union Canal, so it's sort of London, Milton Keynes, Rugby, Stoke, Manchester, Liverpool, then across to Dublin, and then down through Ireland. And luckily, I do like drinking Guinness, which is dead handy.
Well, that helps, obviously. And how long do you envisage it taking?
It will take about 24 days. But one of the things I said is my friend John's doing it with me. John hasn't got prostate cancer. John hasn't got anyone in his family with prostate cancer. But his support to me is invaluable. And that's another thing I say to people listening is that, you know, if you can support someone with a problem in their life, no matter what the problem is, that is worth so much. You know, support
It's priceless, isn't it?
Exactly. Just that phone call, that, are you okay? I will say, if someone phoned you tonight and said, do you want to go for a drink? And you said, you thought to yourself, oh, I'm a bit tired, I won't go. No, not tonight, I don't fancy it. You don't know why they phoned you. They might have just phoned you for a drink. Well, they might have phoned you because you were the person that they thought could help them through their depression, their problem at home, help get them out of the house. So the next time you say no to someone, just think about why they're asking you. It might not just be a basic thing of, I want a beer or a glass of wine. It might be, actually, I need your help. I need an ear to talk to.
Yeah, that's so true. Somebody's just said on here, actually, Elaine, she agrees with you. She says, my husband had to look after me and our son, do the housework, go to work. No one asked how he was doing except for her. And she was the one with the cancer diagnosis. I think we can all relate to that, actually. And I wonder if I've not really thought about that enough. You know, it is so true. It's so true. Anyway, I won't keep you anymore. You get back to your pussycats. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us. And I will put all those links up underneath the when I post this, underneath the post. And all the very best. Enjoy the rest of your day and enjoy your walk. Hope you make it.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. Take care. Bye, Kevin.
Bye. Bye.